what we're going to talk about now is the Torei. To is sword, Rei is bow. So the bowing in ceremony where we show respect to the sword and everything that we do. As stated in sort of the disclaimer at the beginning, I want to avoid any kind of stylistic explanations. First of all, because it's bad protocol. It's bad protocol for me to come on here as a representative of a particular style when, you know, I'm really just another link in the chain. But I do speak English, and it's sometimes necessary to put some information out there just on generality. So while some of the things I do may be specific to the style that I teach, I'm going to try to just cover the sort of the fundamental elements of the aspects of the art. As far as the Torei goes, you want to make sure that you start off with the sword on your right side. This is we're going to talk about this in the etiquette section a little bit later, but you want to start off holding the sword on your right side because you can't draw it with your left hand. You can, but it's a symbolic sort of safety. It shows that you're not in an aggressive state when you're holding it in your right hand. So for right now, the sword is going to be on the right. Now, as far as bowing in goes, there are lots of ways of bowing in, depending on what you're doing. But the fundamentals of bowing are going to be that you don't take your eyes off of your opponent. Now, this doesn't mean that you have the death glare on your opponent, like Mr. Miyagi says. It just means that your focus is on whatever is going on in front of you. So I'm going to sort of glance forward, and as I bow, I put my hands down, bow. Now notice my back is actually straight. I'm trying not to curl my back or simply drop my head. Okay? Depending on where you're bowing and who you're bowing to is going to determine how low your bow is and the duration of the bow. But for generality's sake, keeping your back straight, keeping your focus forward, and bow. All right? Then comes the issue of actually bowing to the sword. Again, lots of ways of doing this, but the fundamental elements are that the sword somehow gets in front of your body, and we're going to lay it down in front of us. Some schools put the edge out. Some schools put the edge in. Okay? Naturally, there's reasons for both. I'm not going to get into the reasons. But they're all viable reasons. Here, the sword's pretty much centered on your body here. Again, there's specifics. But it's roughly going to look something like this. You want to leave enough room in front of you here to bow. Okay? And then a similar bow there. Then you're going to pick the sword back up. And in whatever fashion your teacher dictates, you put the sword in your belt. Just so everybody knows, there are as many ways of putting the sword in your belt as there are kata. Every school has a different way of doing it. There are even ways of doing it depending on what rank you are. Even within the same style, different organizations have adopted slightly different ways of everything. Affixing the sageo, or the string. Different schools affix the sageo to the body in many, many different ways. So this is why you need to make sure that you have a good qualified instructor that is versed in the nuances of the style that you're doing. Because when somebody gets out there in front of people to see, or in front of the whole world to see, thanks to YouTube, every little thing that you do is applying little points to the fingerprint that is your style. And as soon as you get out there and start doing something, people who know can tell whether you've made it up, whether you actually have an instructor, what style you're demonstrating is derived from, and so on. So it really is worth it to get with a good instructor and learn a single way of doing things and stick to it. Otherwise, you're just practicing a hodgepodge of things. All right, so one more time with the Torei. The sword's going to start on the right side. It's going to get to the left side. It's going to be placed in front of you. You're going to bow. You're going to pick up the sword. Even this part here, some people lean the sword here. Some people reach down, pick up the sword here. Again, these are all fingerprints to the style that you're doing. All right? So, from here, sword goes in the belt. You're going to affix the sageo, however your style dictates. And then you're ready to start practice.